Okay, hello everyone. Today we're here in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 in Aerosoft's CRJ700. We have a 373 nautical mile flight from Hotel Victor November, Tweed, New Haven to India Alpha Delta, Washington Dulles International. Both of those are pay-aware airports, New Haven by Orbx and Washington Dulles by Flightbeam Studios. The CRJ700 is a complex aircraft, and I admit it took me a couple days just to figure out how to use it. So we are going to do a full cold and dark startup here, so this will be a longer video than my usual ones, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty details of how to start up and fly the aircraft. Should be fun. Let's hop into the flight deck and get started. Tweed, New Haven is a cool regional airport with a single gate, so it is perfect for this type of aircraft. Alright, first things first, Aerosoft supplies an iPad as an EFB, so we'll get that turned on. Nice graphics as it boots up. It's got checklist settings for the aircraft, all of the things that you would expect. Their EFB checklists don't quite take you through cold and dark, so I will use my own custom one. So we'll start by verifying that the nose wheel steering is off, the hydraulic pumps are off. Those look good. We'll go down and make sure the landing gear is down. Our flaps are up. The flight spoilers are full up. Our parking brake is set, and the ADG red handle there is flush. Now we'll head back up to the top here and turn on the battery master. Next we'll head down to the center pedestal and toggle our main display into the electrical page. We'll press that twice to go from AC to DC. On DC, we'll verify that we have at least 22 volts for main and APU battery. We do. So we'll head up and press the APU fuel button. Go back to the display. We're waiting for the APU in-byte to clear. It's cleared, and now we can hit start. You'll see that pops up the APU graphics on the display. So we're going to watch the APU come up to power. And once it hits 100%, then the aircraft's going to come alive. All the other displays will power up. While it's doing that, you can see a ton of yellow cautions and a couple red cautions on the center display there. Part of the task of starting up the aircraft is going to be clearing out all of those. And there it is. Our displays are alive now, so we're going to head down to IRS and set those both to nav 1. That looks good. Go back up and make sure that our DC service is off, battery master's on, AC off. We'll get our nav lights on and our logo lights if it's night. Next we'll go to the hydraulic pumps and turn all of them on except for 3A, which is the second one. Then we'll jog down to our display, select the hydraulic page and verify that we have 3000 psi in each of the pumps. Next we'll turn pump 3A on and get the other 3 pumps into auto. Go back to the hydraulic display and we'll verify that the pressure is dropping in the other pumps, and pump 3A is at 3000 psi, which it is, so that looks good. So now we'll turn 3A back off. Next we'll get on the air conditioning pack 1, pack 2, the recirc fan 2 on, the aft cargo air conditioning on, and anti-ice on for windshield left-right. Next I'll bring up the panel lights. It never hurts. It's supposed to be a bit cloudy on our flight, so if it's a little dark it'll be a little easier to see. That's in the lower right hand corner there. We'll head over to the right and turn on the no smoking and seatbelt sign and arm the emergency lights. We'll flip up the guard on the stall alarm, press and hold that, and that'll cause the yoke to vibrate. Now we'll check the cockpit voice recorder by holding in the test button until the light illuminates. On our left, we'll verify that the cockpit door camera is functional. That looks good. And our oxygen is working, so we'll press the test, listen for the hiss, and check that the PSI goes down slightly on the center display. Next, we'll arm the reverse thrusters by flicking the switches for engine 1 and engine 2. We will perform a test for the overheat alarm and Flick on the lamp test to eliminate all of the cautions, make sure that those are working. We'll verify that our spoilers and flaps are set at 0 and that our left and right thrust levers are in the shutoff position. Next we'll head down to the COM display. In the lower pedestal, press the TCAS Auto soft key and press Test. Listen for the alarm. While we're waiting for that, we'll head down to the bottom, get stabilizer left-right trim turned on, and the Mach trim, which is the orange button there, turned on. If we don't do that, autopilot won't work. We'll verify that IRS is in nav. Then turn on yaw damper 1 and 2, which are the 2 black buttons in the center. Alright, now comes the fun part, programming the CDU. So we'll hit the index key, position, init, and then once that comes up, we're going to enter our departure airport, which is Kilo Hotel Victor November. Then we'll hit page 2. The IRS has picked up our GPS location, so we're going to copy that and go back to page 1 and paste it via the soft key. There we go. Then we'll hit index again. We'll select IRS control, we'll verify it's enabled. Go back to index, VOR DME control, verify yes. Back to index again, GNS control, verify enabled, and then we'll hit the flight plan key. Now we'll enter our origin and destination airports. So once again, Kilo Hotel Victor November. We'll press the soft key in the upper left to put that in. And Kilo India Alpha Delta, press the soft key in the upper right to put that in for Washington. Next we'll enter our flight number, 3554, and we'll press the soft key to enter that under flight. And I pressed the wrong soft key for the 2 key. There we go, that's the right place, 3554. Now if we look at the status page on our main display, 3554 is a blue number up in the right hand corner. We'll hit execute to enter that, then press the departure arrival page and select our departure. So we're doing the Bridgehaven 9 departure from runway 2. So we'll select both of those via the soft keys. There's no transition for that. Instead we're going to manually enter what we're expecting from the runway that we're departing from. Now we'll hit flight plan and then next to take us to our waypoint page. The Bridgehaven 9 SID says those using COAT can expect vectors to SACS, so we'll start with SACS as our first waypoint. Then we're heading to COAT. After COAT, we get on our first airway, which is Quebec 436, so we're going to enter that on the left-hand side. Next we go direct DGRAPH, so we'll enter that on the right-hand side. The rule is airways on the left and waypoints on the right. Our final waypoint is Phillipsburg VOR, Papa Sierra Bravo, so we'll go direct that. Now we'll hit the Departure Arrivals button, go to Arrivals, and select our Arrival, Transition, and Approach. So we are planning a Maypel 3 approach with a Phillipsburg transition and an ILS 19 center approach. Now we'll hit the legs key and toggle through all of the waypoints of our flight plan, looking for discontinuities. And there's our first one. So we're going to go and soft key copy and paste over the discontinuity. On the perf init page, we'll enter our cruising altitude as flight level 340 and enter that via the soft key on the upper right. Aerosoft CFB makes the next part easy, so we're going to go to the performance page and set our zero fuel weight and passengers, then click move over to the CDU and it'll just copy and paste it all into the right location. We'll hit execute, go to the next page. Here we're going to enter the average winds. These you get from SimBrief, it's right on the top of the first page, and hit execute. We'll press VNAV and verify that our climb and cruise speeds are correct, then we'll head back over to the EFB and we'll set our V1, V2, VR speeds by clicking Set and taking a look at the takeoff trim in the lower left-hand right, which will give us our target that we need to manually set with the trim control. That is on the right-hand display, so I'm going to use my trim control on my throttle quadrant. Lastly, the SID has a few restrictions. For runway 2, we'll have to fly heading 016, maintain 2000, so we can enter those in now, along with our overall speed restriction for being under 10,000, which is 250. So we can set all of those now on the heading, speed, and altitude knobs and verify that they appear on the PFD. New Haven clearance, Delta 3554, IFR to Dulles, ready to copy. On departure, fly heading 016, climb and maintain 2000, expect flight level 340, 10 minutes after departure. Radar vectors Sierra Alpha X-ray, then as filed. Departure 124.075, squawk 3414, Delta 3554.
41 right on Hotel cross 1129 Echo Park.
Okay, let's close up the door. We can use the EFB to do that. What's cool is the announcement that's going to come up is built in to the aircraft.
Captain, the cabin is secure. All passengers are aboard.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the captain and crew, welcome aboard this flight. We hope you enjoy flying with us. Before takeoff, we would like to encourage all passengers to watch our cabin crew display the safety features of the aircraft.
We'll get ready for pushback. On the overhead, we'll turn on the left and the right fuel boost pump. We'll get our beacon on. We'll turn on hydraulic pump 3A. And then we'll head back to the console and make sure that our nose wheel steering is set to off. New Haven ground, Delta 3554, request pushback. Okay, they're engaged. We'll release the parking brake. That was the in-game pushback. I tried some of the freeware add-ons, but they didn't quite work right with the CRJ. Park brake is set. We'll press engine 2 start. Now we're going to look for N2 of 20%, and once it reaches 20% with ITT less than 120, then we're going to head down to the thrust lever, unlock it by flicking the red button at the bottom of it and moving it to the idle detent. I should mention the EFB has a calibration tool for calibrating your thrust axis to all the detents, and it's a really good idea to do that so that they actually line up with what's happening here. Okay, once N2 gets up to 50%, the engine starter will turn off, and we'll also see a bunch of the yellow cautions turn off too, because many of those are tied to the engine not running.
Charlie, transition is approved, the altimeter 3015.
Pay attention as we display the safety features and procedures of the aircraft in case of an emergency.
Head back to the overhead, press engine start for the left engine. Same procedure. Now we'll go back down and we'll monitor N2 for 20%, flip up the red lever and move the thrust lever to the idle position. There we go. I mentioned how some of those yellow cautions disappear and they're still there. That's because those are door open cautions. So even though I closed the passenger door, I left the cargo door and the service doors opened when I did pushback, probably leading to certain tragedy. So that wasn't good. We'll get those closed. And look at that, all the cautions are gone. So it's actually a feel of accomplishment when you get to this point starting up the aircraft. We'll hop back to the EFB and check our flap settings. So we are taking off with flaps 8, So I'll go over here and set that up now. Flaps 8. Arm the nose wheel steering for taxi. We'll go over to the flight controls page and do a flight controls test. Back up on the overhead, we'll get our anti-ice turned on. We'll go to the electrical page and verify that everything looks good for AC and DC power. We'll turn off the APU and the APU fuel. You can see the APU graphic just disappeared there on the right-hand display. Next we'll get our taxi lights on. In the time it took me to do that, the winds have changed and the airport is now using runway 20, so we're going to hop into the CDU and update that for the new runway. We'll also have to go in and update our heading setting for the runway 20 heading. On the plus side, we have the world's shortest taxi. New Haven ground, Delta 3554, taxi with India. Taxi and hold short, runway 20 via Delta, Delta 3554. It's actually a little confusing saying Delta and then Delta 3554. Restart parking brake. And we are good. So I have to say, while we're taxiing, I love this aircraft. It's complex. It's a lot of work to learn how to use it, and I love all the details of it. X-Plane is aircraft like Airfoil Labs King Air 350, which are study level. This doesn't advertise itself as study level, but it's certainly complex. And if you like procedures, there's a lot to learn for this. So it's like that. I've been craving something like this for Microsoft Flight Simulator for a while, and I'm happy to see this from Aerosoft. Set our parking brake because the plane will roll away while you're not paying attention to it. Ask me how I know. Okay, let's get our landing lights on. And we're also going to go up and put the fuel flow transfer into manual. That prevents anything unexpected from happening from all of the maneuvering that we'll have to do on takeoff. New Haven Tower, Delta 3554, holding short, runway 20. Cleared for departure, runway 20, Delta 3554. Okay, we are running with live weather, live time. We've got live traffic on. I don't have multiplayer on. I'm not talking to ATC in this, so I don't want to mess up anybody's gaming experience by cutting them off on Final 4 for my approach. We're streaming live ATC in the background. New Haven does have live ATC, but it's all static when I listen to it, so we're listening to Bridgeport, which is the nearest towered field. And you could see that was a serious stutter there. There it is again, having some performance issues. There we go, rotate, and whoa! And I've actually flown this a couple times so far, and my takeoffs all look like this. So I've got to sort them out, but it's a little wild on takeoff for me. Once I get a little bit of altitude, everything calms down, and I love how the plane handles in the air. Okay, for the trip itself, it's about an hour and a half, and we'll condense it into my usual musical montage. I'll splash up some text for different things that I'm doing at different parts of it, and I'll give you a data dump and the wrap-up at the end. So let's sit back and enjoy that awesome flight simulator scenery. I love this aircraft. It's a bit pricey at $50, but worth every penny. It scratches an itch that was present since the launch of Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is the need for things like Zibo Mod or Airfoil Labs King Air 350. So a complex craft that's all about the procedures. Awesome job. It's hard to fly. There's no auto throttle on this, and you have to constantly adjust the speed throughout the flight. It's very easy to overspeed. That happened to me in my first couple flights. So it kept me on my toes. It was a lot like flying, a light general aviation aircraft that you can't just turn on autopilot and sit back and enjoy the scenery, which is what I wanted. The landing wasn't the best, but I'll keep practicing and get it. So if you enjoy content like this, be sure to click that like button, leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, as always, for flying along with me, and stay tuned for further flight adventures.